What is good, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you for being here on a Monday. Apologies if you were expecting this stream to be a little bit later today. I had incorrectly scheduled it, but you know, we try to aim for this time every Monday. Live Monday, every Monday at 11:30 a.m. EST. What does that make it? Is it 8:30 a.m. on the West Coast? That's crazy. How is everybody doing? How was your weekend? Did you get into any cool sort of musical activities, creative activities, leisurely activities this weekend? What did you get up to? And as you're telling me all your great weekend stories in the chat, I want to let you all know that today we have a special stream, a stream that we've been doing once a month for a little summer switch up. We are going to be reviewing music from the community. We have, I think, close to 30 tracks in the Discord. People have already submitted. We're going to be listening to that music. So if you're down to just sit back, relax, grab a drink. It's a summer Monday. Maybe it's an evening for you. Maybe it's morning for you. Kick back, relax, and imagine a radio show. But a radio show that doesn't just play the same 5 songs on rotation every hour. A radio show that's going to play music that you've probably never heard before because it's from independent artists and producers from around the world, just like you. So it's a way that we can be more connected as a community. We can hear each other's creations. We can give some constructive feedback. And overall, just positive vibes here today. Positive vibes here today. So kick back, relax, grab a beverage. Get ready. We usually go for about, I think last track review stream was about 4 hours. So I hope my voice can hold up that long. We shall see. I've got plenty of water here today. So I think my voice will be able to survive. Let me know as usual about the levels. We got a little background music going here and my voice, so those levels should be balanced accordingly. What's up, Burger Planet? Burger Planet says, I'm selling my RC505 Mark II and Mark I and switching everything to Loopy Pro. Have you used it yet? Really great community too. I keep meaning to meet. I've been connected with, I think his name is Mike, the creator of Loopy Pro, and I keep messing up the scheduling. We're supposed to meet and he's going to like walk me through it, everything. It looks very intriguing. That's cool to hear that you're replacing some hardware with that app though. That's cool. Good to know. Accent Noir says, I've taken a leaf out of Kara's book and been sampling power tools and weird hits on random stuff in my front room. Very, very cool. All right, old gamer needs our input. Waldorf versus the Mini Freak for the first synth. I'm not too familiar with either one, so somebody else will have to chime in. That's the Waldorf Blofeld versus the Arturia Mini Freak. I wonder if have you heard it on any records? Or like, are there any artists that you like using one or another? It's a good point of reference usually when you're thinking about what gear, what kind of sound you want. What's up, Tenley? Nice to see you. What's up, Kayla? How's it going? Good morning. How often are these feedback streams? Such an awesome idea. These feedback streams, usually we were doing every other month, and that was a nice cadence. But it's the summer. I want to mix things up, so we've been doing them every single month. Simon asks, how do I find the Discord? That is a great question. Please, everybody, help me in answering this question throughout the day. All the information you need to know in order to submit music is in the description down below. Our Discord is open to channel members, so you can become a channel member for as little as $2 a month. Along with that membership, you get access to our Discord, which is how you submit music for today. But then you get a bunch of other perks. There's free sample downloads, there's behind the scenes videos, there's members only workshop videos, long form like workshop lessons, exclusive to members. So there's a lot of membership perks. If you're watching on mobile currently, there is actually no way to join on mobile, I believe, in the YouTube app. You have to do it from desktop. So usually next to my subscribe button on YouTube below the video, you'll see a join button, and you can join there. That is how you get involved in this community. It's a very positive place. One thing I was checking out here, let me switch my view for a moment. One thing I was checking out, that's the wrong angle, is we got a lot of different channels in this Discord, but one of them in particular caught my eye this month, which is Free Stuff and Deals, because quite a few people posted in the month of June. Caro was throwing some shade at Akai, saying that the APC 64 was $100 off at Sweetwater. That's pretty cool. Isotope has a free offering of neutron elements. Thank you, Sporg, for posting that. Dream Machine was posting some deals in the UVI store. They were having a little sale, or maybe still are. A cool little site for chord progressions, posted by Dennis. Negatory posting about the Waves sale going on. So this is another just aspect of our Discord. We have very many channels, as you can see here on the left. Aspect of our Discord that is, you know, it's pretty great. People dropping samples. Arnie dropped a sample to download in here the other day. Anybody can just download it. Accent Noir shared some drones earlier this month. And you can just go to the Discord and download this stuff now. So it's a great community to be a part of. You can join it for as little as $2. That is the best way to support the channel. Keeps this channel going. And I like to hope that there's more value in your membership than what you're paying for it. So if you're paying $2 and you're getting a bunch of behind the scenes content, feedback on your music, free downloads, whether that's from me or the community members, I hope it's worth more than your $2. You could, of course, support at a higher tier, but you don't necessarily need to do that. Of course, not everybody can afford to become a member. That's fine. You can support the stream right now just by clicking like. Clicking the like button allows more people to see our stream, more people to come find our community. All right, Swayam is chiming in. My first synth was a Micro Freak. Now I own a Mini Freak. It's fantastic. It's amazing at both learning fundamentals and doing crazy sound design, but I strongly believe you cannot go wrong with either. That is probably the right take. Whichever one you end up picking, I'm sure you'll be able to do great things if you stick with it and learn its full potential. Old Gamer says, I just joined this community. It's fantastic. That's great to hear. Mr. G. Smith says, workspace looks fantastic, bro. Thank you. It's in a constant state of chaos. We've got lots of videos and things in production here. It's going to be a strong ending to this month. Can you believe it's almost July? We're actually going to be live again later this week. So let me walk you through some stuff that's been happening before we get into the track reviews, but then I want to get into it pretty quickly. One thing is I have been producing some videos, and I'm going to be producing more for the folks at UJam. So I don't know if any of you use UJam plugins. Anybody out there use UJam plugins? If so, may I point you in the direction of these new tutorials that I've been producing for UJam. And like I said, more to come. But we've got a tutorial up so far on USynth, which is a very powerful, very awesome sounding synth. But basically, I do my thing. I do my full walkthrough guide, how to learn it from the ground up. So if you use USynth, that is definitely worth checking out. Let me find my chat so I can give you that. Where is it? Too many windows, too many windows. That's the video on USynth. I'm dropping in the chat now. Virtual Bassist. This is the second video that we've put together, but Virtual Bassist is a very cool plugin for a realistic sounding bass. So again, that's full tutorial walkthrough. These are long videos. These are like over 20 minutes long. So if you have these plugins or if you've been thinking about getting these plugins, let me just point you in the direction there. I think you should check out those tutorials. I worked really hard on them, and I think they came out pretty good. And I'll be working with UJam more in the future to make more stuff. Can you sponsor my education in music, please? What do you think I'm doing here on this channel? Pause the music. What do you think I'm doing here on this channel? Beats Pop Music. What's awesome is you don't need to give me any money to come to the TAETRO School of Music. You just go to youtube.com/TAETRO and you look at the Music Theory for Beginners series. You got Music Theory 101 right here. Then you look at the Ableton Live for Beginners series, Ableton Live 101. Then you watch a couple music making streams. You watch the real process of making music and you absorb that. Think of those as like live masterclasses. Then you come to one of these monthly feedback streams where you meet with your fellow students of the TAETRO Music School, TAETRO School of Music. Everybody meets up, shares their music, shares their progress, etc. So think about that. Think about how much is already available to you here for free on the channel. I've been talking to my YouTube partner manager about potentially taking the courses that I already have that are at just playlists now on the channel, because there's a courses feature on YouTube. Did you all know that? Have you stumbled across any channels that do this? But it's basically just another category of content, courses. So if I can take advantage of that, I'm signed up to go to a workshop, virtual workshop on courses on YouTube. So I'm going to see if that is cool and if I can start organizing the videos in a more cohesive way. But they're all here on YouTube anyway. It's all free. Good morning, ADR X-Ray. Hello. Oh, Accent Noir, you watched the tutorial. Good to know. I hope that it was helpful. If you have any feedback, let me know. Oh, one other thing is I am working on a video, guitar for beginners. No, help me articulate this, chat. The video is going to be, it's already shot. The video is about how to learn, if you're a producer and you have a guitar at home, or if you've been thinking about adding guitar to your recordings, it's basically an explanation of how guitar works and then how you record a guitar and then how you make it not sound bad. So the first part of that is like learning how notes work on a guitar. Like I'm trying to blow your mind. I'm really trying to open your mind to be like, whoa, if I've never even touched a guitar before, but if I picked one up now, I could do something with it. And then the back half of the video is more about the production side. So I posted in Discord some thumbnail options. And this one, there haven't been many votes here in Discord, but I thought the red one really stood out. But it's not totally my style. Bedroom Producer's Guide, guitar. And then the bottom two is like a no text version and then a text version. I always struggle with this for thumbnails because if you look at this video here, this video has like 500,000 views and it has no text. But I think it's like very clear with the title and the thumbnail what the video is about. Not so sure about this one. So my instincts would go here, but it doesn't seem like the community's instincts are going there. But if you disagree, we call this one gray, and then there's gray with text, gray with no text, and then there's red. I don't know if any one in particular jumps out to you as a clickable thumbnail. Let me know. And let's see the poll. 24% people submitted and they said, yes, I need the feedback. Another 19% submitted and say, just want to share my music. I submitted. 16% said they're too scared. Don't be too scared, my friends. Anybody can submit. We're all kind here. I'm just here for the vibes. 41%. That's pretty interesting. Gray with text is best, IMO. It seems people are leaning that way. Text version. Yes, 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 yes. Number 3, my lord. Gray with text. Okay, thank you. That's very, very helpful. Thank you, everybody. It does seem people are trending that way. I want to learn guitar. Penny C, I think this is going to be a good first video for you. I agree. I do think the red pops out more, but here's the thing. I can always change it. I've done that before with videos where you put it up and maybe it doesn't get the traction that you think it's going to get. You switch the thumbnail and traction picks up. Celestian Prof, good to see you. Happy Monday. Ready to listen to some great music and following and adding some new producers. Yes, we need to get right into that. Jay says, what do you think about using AI in music production? It's a big conversation, Jay, that we're kind of not having today because we got to spend most of our time listening to the music that was submitted. But if you look at some past live streams, actually, this is a good thing that you brought this up, Jay, because we talked a lot about AI in music production. But something I wanted to show you all, because I've been going back and forth on this, like what to do with the past live streams and how to organize them. But I've been keeping them up instead of unlisting them now. And what I hope you will notice is I'm adding timestamps now, so the streams are much more consumable if you're watching them later. So if you go to the description of like a past live stream, this is from 2 weeks ago, boom, all timestamps. Same thing here, all timestamps. So we've had conversations in the past, news about AI generative music. There's an article, there's a chat for you right there. That is from 3 weeks ago, this stream. But we've been covering like more newsy stuff here, Jay. So if you're interested in that, definitely keep coming to the streams. And we'll talk more about that stuff. Or check out a past stream. My painting teacher used to always say, red paint sells more. Same for cars. Interesting. Is it too late to submit? No, we still have a few slots. I usually don't cap it at a specific number. We usually want to get to about 30. That's about as much as I can do and still not get ear fatigue and still feel, still have my brain working. You know, after 3 hours of listening to tracks, my brain can kind of get mushy. So we try to keep it to there. So usually about 30 tracks is where it lands. I believe we were around 25. So if 5 more people want to sign up and become a member today, we'll accept their music along the way. But we will close submissions at a certain point, probably in about 30 to 45 minutes. All right. I also have I get this recurring canker sore on the back of my tongue whenever I get too much stress. Maybe it's either stress or eating too much fruit. So if I kind of sound mumbly, that could be why. I apologize for that. Makes it a little difficult to talk. All right, but anyway, let me bring up the Discord here. So we're going to be pulling from the track review submissions. Let's grab this here. All right, so some people have jumped in since the stream started. That's fine. So these are all the submissions we're going to be going through. Very excited for all of these. We're going to go through them one by one. And here are my ground rules. Let me know if I miss anything, because many of you have heard this before. Ground rules for feedback on these streams and how we should all act together as a community. People are submitting music from every stage of their time in music making. They could be beginners just starting out, or they could be people that have been making music for a really long time and at a really high quality level. We're going to judge them accordingly to where they're at. So we're not going to judge a beginner producer as if they're supposed to be like a Grammy award-winning mix engineer. That's not how we're going to judge the music. So we're going to give constructive feedback, based on where the people are actually at. Second of all, even though we're going to be giving some constructive criticism today, if you are in chat and the first thing I see from you is something negative about somebody's track, like you just jump in and the first thing I see you say is bass is too loud, or too much kick drum or whatever, I'm probably going to time you out. Maybe just for 5 minutes. Don't jump in and let me see the first thing that you say in chat as being a negative thing. Be here, be cool, chat along with people. Don't just jump in when you want to say something negative. That's a red flag. Socially, that's a red flag. Doesn't matter if you're here on stream or if you go hang out with friends in real life. Don't be that person. And then each track, we will definitely listen to at least the first 3 minutes of each track, but we need to keep things going so we can get to every track today. If you are in the chat and your track comes up, please feel to share as much about your track as possible in the chat. Track chat. Say it 10 times fast. And Miss Nadia, of course, says, everyone here has won a Grammy in my heart. Thank you, Miss Nadia. Good reminder from Celestian Prof. Yes. And one of the best things about this is you can make new friends, make new connections, or just find a new artist that you like. If you hear an artist that you like today, we're likely going to be opening up a lot of SoundCloud or YouTube links. Go to their profile, give them a follow, leave them a comment, leave them a like. Say, hey, this sounded good. Whatever. Just say something kind to somebody. You know what happens? Usually when you start spreading out that positivity in the world, usually it finds its way back to you. I'm not saying go say something nice and be mad when they don't say something nice about you. I'm just saying go say something nice and just expect nothing in return. But then a year from now, look back and be like, oh, I spent a year being positive, and look at all the positivity that came my way. You know, it just changes the vibe. Make sense? Did I miss any ground rules? I hope not. Miss Nadia, I'm going to hit you up because I have some sketches that I need you to look at and we need to turn into something. But I'll do that hopefully sometime today. All right. Oh, I need to promo one last thing. We've got a community challenge. So if you didn't have a chance to share music today, but you want to be a part of a community challenge and win free plugins, we have the Ghost Wave Challenge happening with High Note FM. And High Note wants me to reiterate that this is totally free to enter. Completely free to enter. You sign up and upload via High Note, and it's that easy. You can win all of these cool prizes, including a collab with me. It's free to enter. High Note has a free plan. Basically, think of High Note as like Google Drive, but more productive for musicians. Like, you can put all your artwork, you can put your tracks there, you can leave feedback on timestamps on your track, just like you can on SoundCloud. So it's pretty cool. That challenge is happening. Let me drop that in the chat real quick. In fact, maybe I'll pin that to the chat today. I can never find the real YouTube chat, to be honest. Here. Join our next community challenge. Boom. We got that. Let me pin it here. And as usual, if you all could help out, people are a little confused about how to get in on these streams, how to get in on the action. ! Discord should work. I hope. Let's see if this works now. Boom, there it is. This bit.ly link should work. Let me open that link. Yes, and that just brings you to a FAQ on how to integrate Discord and YouTube. All right. It's the top of the hour. We need to get into listening to some music. If you want to chat along the way, I, of course, want to chat with you as well. I'll do my best to answer questions and all the things as we go. But let's now devote our attention to the music from the community. 1 track per person, up to 3 minutes of each track. Let's listen to King. I initially put another song, but then I made this over the weekend and wanted to see what you think. And enjoy. Might need to scroll down and find it. I would not it would not let me change the WAV file, so I had to resend it. It's called King Doze Off. Oh, okay. So I gotta go find King. How are we gonna kick things off like this? All right, we're starting things off with King. Let's give a listen. Doze Off. Let me know about the levels. King, tell us about this track in chat. King makes the soundtrack to the Sad Boy Summer.
Yeah, doze off, and I'm right here, and I just can't breathe in. Yeah, I'm so gone, and I find it hard to see again. And time goes on, and I just figure that I just let it leave.
I really like the crispness of the acoustic drums. I feel like usually you're using more like of a trappy electronic drum sound, but these drums sound really good.
If I doze off, I'm right here, and I just find it hard to breathe in. And I've been broken, and I can't let you escape from me again. Things unspoken, I can't be the man you want from me. Sometimes I guess it's just something.
King is driving to work. King, your work is really strong. I think the feedback last time is going to be the same feedback for this time. I just need more variation across the tune.
And I load my gun and I waste my time, and I gave her everything.
Nice use of those delays for the background vocals.
And I say I'm fine, but I can't find anything. Yeah, I just doze off right here. I might just be the next one to go. But I'm broken, and I can't feel my head, no. Yeah, I doze off, I'm right here. I might be someone next to go.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely sounds like the beginning stages of a new song too, right? You got the piano, you got the drums, and you got the vocals, but I think overall you have the good bones of a great song. We definitely need to add some bass. I can definitely hear some bass linking up with that kick drum rhythmically and following the piano chords, of course. The one thing too,
And I find it hard to breathe.
the one thing structurally that's happening in this track, right, is you go from like the drum groove, vocals, drums, and piano all happening. Then drums cut out for a bit. We get that little break, and then it just picks up again, and it kind of just does that like 3 or 4 times. That's fine, but you want to add like your vocals, especially. The vocals are what we're listening to. The vocals are what we're drawn to, and that actually sound really good. Though it all kind of ends up revolving around that one note. Like it's all kind of that. So we got to find some section of the song that doesn't revolve around that, possibly. That does something else, both rhythmically and melodically with the vocals. I think you could get away with using the same piano chord progression and even close to the same drums throughout the whole song. A lot of songs do that. Go listen to Mr. Brightside by the Killers, verse 1 and verse 2, same lyrics, same everything. But we need a section that deviates from the main thing that we're listening to, the vocals. It's got to do something different. Penny C says, how do you make vocals like that? Like what King did here? Well, I think the tuning is a big important part. Also the dryness and like kind of like a hyper compressed sound, maybe a bit of saturation if I was going to recreate the sound. And probably a not very expensive microphone. I think there's a lo-fi-ness to it, like a yeah, there's like an overdrive. It sounds very saturated, slightly overdriven on the top end. Hard tuning. Yeah. That's basically what it comes down to. There's not much to unpack there production-wise. It sounds great. That's fine. But that's a very specific vocal sound, I think. That is very of the internet age, I would say. But King, great work as always. Keep working on that song structure and like creating varied sections. And I think you can get even better. Great work. I feel you. I was trying to come up with more vocal melodies, but wasn't happening. I'll get a bass in there and a C section. Yeah. One thing to just think about if you're trying to come up with different vocal melodies, or if you're trying to come up with any ideas, and this goes for anybody. If you have one idea that you're stuck on and you're like, oh, don't just think like, oh, I need to do something different. Think about doing the opposite. So if you're doing like a faster rhythmic thing around a single note, maybe the opposite of that is slower, more drawn out notes, a slower melody with more drawn out notes, and that revolves around a lower octave or a higher octave, a falsetto maybe, something like that. Just think about doing the opposite, because thinking about doing something just different is like overwhelming. But if you think about doing the opposite, it kind of gives you a certain rule set to follow, which you can then break once you've gotten more ideas after trying to do that. All right, I'm going back up to the top of the list, and we got Piccolo Black to kick things off here. Anything I can improve on here? I want to make the next winter's EP sound bigger and better than the last, mix and master wise. Let's give a listen and find out. First thing that jumps out to me mix wise on this is like if you're gonna chop that drum break, we probably need more kick. So either you gotta recreate the kick on a new MIDI track or get the kick to come out more from the audio that you cut, which is probably pretty difficult. Also, check on some of the lower mids of some of these instruments, especially this main key sample, this swell. That's got a lot of low mids in it. And so even some of the vocal stuff happening earlier did as well, and it was getting in the way of the bass. Really good use of the stereo field, like so much happening across space here. careful, one of those Foley things really jumps out mix-wise, so double check that. I bet you can even see that in the waveform. That little hit is just like so much louder than everything else. Wow, really, really cool, Piccolo Black. Well done. Yeah, so obviously there's a few mixed things. Like, I think the bass is the number one thing you can solve, especially when you chop like an amount of all these different diverse samples that all have their own frequency thing going on. Maybe they're resampled from somewhere. Maybe they're already lo-fi samples. They're going to be crunchy and mid-rangey anyway. Just be very careful about that. Make sure that kick cuts through, especially in this beginning section, because you're chopping up a break. So like, what can you do? You can't like tailor that kick specifically, but maybe you could fake it by just doubling that kick on just one more kick drum that's doing the same exact pattern, but gives us a little more of the sub frequency, a little more of a boomy hit. Doesn't have to be too long, but structurally and sound design wise, there's so much cool stuff happening in this song. Definitely a song worth taking notes on if y'all are interested in making this kind of dreamy drum and bass. I don't even know. It's like on another level. Also, just structurally, how the song starts versus how the song ends, it's a journey all the way through. It's the number one thing you can shoot for as a musician, is like taking your listener on a journey. Well done, Piccolo Black. Thank you for your submission. Wow, really, really good. Very, very cool. Yo, J Cal, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated, J Cal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Reminder, members, you have a free member milestone chat. That's a free super chat. So if you want to say anything and make sure it gets highlighted, you can hit the super chat button and use your member milestone chat. It also shows me how long you've been a member for, so I can say thank you for the however many long months. He knows how to bring the vibes for sure, for sure. Seeing people's creativity on these streams is always a blast. Exactly, yes. And I hope that the feedback that we give, like the real cheat code is, even if you didn't submit a track today, you can listen to this feedback and think about how it applies to your music. So take that with you. Me, B3, hello. How often do these streams happen? At work at the moment and can't become a member at this time? No worries. We're going to be doing these once a month for the summer at least. So next one will happen probably at the end of July. So stay tuned. I always post about it on the community tab. I always post about it on social media, all that good stuff. Adequate living situation. The stereo field on that song was really crazy. Very full song. Yes. And used intentionally and used well. Some people just pan stuff randomly. That's not what that was at all. That was like very appropriate use of panning in the stereo field. All right, let's keep it going with Sim. Track is called God. You can notice in the mix that the bass and the vocals are competing against each other. Oh, that was a cool little delay thing with the vocals. Those little chords happening in the background are so cool. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, they're gone now. Yeah, here they are. They're back. bass is sounding so much better here. Very, very cool. Nice little Foley ending.
Before, haven't you?
Interesting. I don't understand that connection with the rest of the song, but it's interesting. All right, run it back real quick. Sim. Not bad at all. Especially, I think a strength of this track is the song's structure. Even though it's got this vocal sample instrument happening the whole time, I think you at least kept it fresh with the energy level from section to section. And then by the time we get to the ends, you've got kind of a new take on this, on all the similar elements. So I think that's a strength. I think it's tough to use this same vocal synth throughout the whole thing without a little variation. So what would it be like if that vocal went away somewhere for like the middle section and you use like a string instrument or something like that? It doesn't have to be a string instrument. It could just be a synth or something. But another layer with the vocal, or vocal comes out entirely and then comes back at the end. You know, I like to say if something is happening for the whole time in your track, it's worth taking a look at and being like, why is this happening the whole time? Can we switch it out? You know? Now, the reason I said at the beginning the bass was not really working well because it's competing with the vocal is because we're not getting a lot of the bass sub-frequency. Frequency-wise, the bass, there's a little bit of sub there, but it's mostly in like the same mid-range as the vocals. So even though they're playing like counter melodies from each other, it's kind of like, what am I supposed to focus on? Meanwhile, bass is supposed to be low. I'm supposed to more feel the bass. And then I don't like using the bass here in that higher range. I don't think it's working that well. The bass works the best here, where it becomes a bass. It becomes low and subby and rhythmic. And really love those chords. Yeah, this is the start of something great. I think also like the drums feel a little weak. I'm not sure if you're trying to go for that like synth wavy kind of sound. Even the kick is kind of light, right? Like I'm looking for that really low boom in the kick. Once again, a little bit of saturation could also make those drums feel more full and like a little more squashed, I think. Depends. This track is like floating between being chill and wanting to be a little bigger. So I'm not sure. I was going for synthwave, but yeah, I got you. Love all the feedback. We'll try to remix it. Yeah, it's like carving a sculpture. Just keep chipping away. Finer details here, finer details here. It's a great start, especially structurally. And the melodies on the vocal synth are good. I just think not layering it at some point, it becomes a little stale. Not in a harsh way, but it becomes like, okay, it's the same sound the whole song, basically. Like here, that's great. Because that essentially transforms the vocal synth and makes it like nice and short versus the longer notes from before. Hope that's enough to go on. I think you can definitely take this and make something even bigger with it. Definitely listen to some of the synthwave songs you like the most and figure out how they get from one melodic instrument to another. If you think about like, I don't know, The Midnight comes to mind, where they're constantly going between like synths and lead guitar. Like, how do they make that transition? And then they also have vocals. Like, how do they decide who gets the spotlight when? That's worth studying a bit, I think. Yo, Mr. G. Smith, thank you for the 40 months as a member. Thank you so much. As always, thank you for your inspiration and support. Really appreciate it, Mr. G. Smith. So let's keep it going. Well done, well done. Alright, the next one is from Kerbo Turbo. Kerbo Turbo. This is my 5th track since the April boot camp. Still learning, but would love some feedback to help me push it in the right direction. Wow. 5th track since taking the boot camp. Alright, let's give a listen. Kerbo Turbo. What's up, Johan? Please check the description. Not bad melody, not bad bass line, and these swirly chords are cool. See, that was a good place to switch up the melodic instrument. I do think sound selection is probably one of the things I would critique most about this track. But musical idea-wise, it's not bad. That was way too loud. Rhythmically, these are not super tight piano melodies. I would definitely tighten it up with some quantization for sure. Yeah, so we got like a nice little A-B structure here. Let's see how it finishes out. How do we feel about the drum fade out there? Cool. Kerbo Turbo, well done. Not bad at all for your 5th track since just learning music. Yeah, I think the musical ideas are not bad at all. Structurally, you got a nice little short intro. You have a nice outro there as well. Now, it's the sound selection that I would critique the most. I think the piano melody is fine, but I don't know that piano is like the best instrument for that. I always think piano sounds a little bit odd if you use it as just like a single note melody. It just feels like somebody's sitting there. I just think there's other options for us other than just a kind of normal sounding piano. Because I think if I hear a piano, I'm definitely expecting some piano chords under that melody. Which doesn't necessarily have to be, but it has a little bit of that implication. Chat, you tell me if I'm crazy. And then, yeah, quantization on these melodies, whether it's the piano melody or that next synth melody that comes in, I think is necessary. The swirly sounds for sound selection, I like. The swirly chords in the background. And then I even don't mind this synth that comes in next. And I love that you kept the piano in, and they kind of counter each other. They don't get in the way of each other. Though I do think you could have taken it a little further. Like every time that little silence and melody comes in, I expect a little something else to happen, a little ascending line or something just to fill in that space. Also, the melodic rhythm doesn't seem to change. da 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 da. Now let's go to the piano. Da 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 dun 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 dun. It's all kind of like either quarter notes or eighth notes. Da 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 da. You know, so just like we can branch out a little bit rhythmically. Like think of these melodies. They're not quite just like an arpeggiation, like a da da da, like a repeated arpeggiated rhythm, but they are very like on the grid. Try to think of long phrases and where they're gonna go. Da 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 da. Like just a little more like a singer would flow through a melody rather than just kind of plucking along. Something to think about there. Sound selection, really think about the sound selection. Sounds that you want to use. Is piano the best sound? And if so, can we fill it out a little bit? Can we get some chords on the bottom or something? I think Ayode's right with that call and response between the synth and the piano. A few more notes on the piano. Feels like we're playing it safe on the piano in that moment. But good job with crafting this structure as well. The thing about the drums, I don't love a volume fade out. It kind of just sounds like a mistake. I know it was intentional. It was definitely intentional. But the volume fade out as it's happening sounds like, wait, what's happening? Why are the drums too low now? So I would opt for a filter, like a low pass filter automation rather than a volume fade. I think that tends to work a little bit better. But keep going, my friend. There's lots of things. Drums don't have much variation either, so you could probably add a bit more rhythmic drums variation rather than just the standard kind of trap drums pattern. All good things to think about, but you're on the right track, my friend. Great work by Kerbo Turbo. Pilgrim of Light makes a good point. Imagine what your 20th track will sound like. Keep this up, Kerbo Turbo. Will we see tracks from the Ghost Wave Challenge? Not today, Jim. Not today. All right, we're going to listen to another track, and then I'm definitely going to have to take a bathroom break. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Here we go. Synthetic Potential. Loving these chords. There's something disconnected about the synth and the drums though, no? It's like almost there, but something... like things are just a little too over compressed or something. I'm not sure if that's happening on the master level. Oh gosh, what's happening? Did anybody else feel like a sense of relief when the synth ended and the guitar just came in? It was just the guitar. I feel like, even though I love those chords and I love that sort of soft, brassy synth, it's taking up all of the space for the most part. The drums are able to pop out above it by nature because there's high frequency, sort of like Foley-ish percussion. But there's not a lot of room for the other synths in those chords. I think that's very, very difficult. I think tailoring them a little bit mix-wise, probably bringing them down a bit in volume, a bit of subtractive EQ in some heavy low to mid-range frequencies would help a lot. And I'm not sure if compression is playing a role here on the synth especially, but it just sounds like the synth is a wall. If I listen to this track quietly, it doesn't sound so bad, but as soon as I start to dial it up, it becomes almost harder to distinguish, especially when the other synths come in. There's like no room for those other synths. So this is beautiful musical ideas here. I like the Foley drums. I like the chords. I even like the synth sound. But a good mix is definitely necessary to get all these sounds to blend. Because that, like, there's like no space for it to come through. That little those little bass hits, bro, those come through nice. Those are nice. But that kind of like soft, siny, no attack, arpeggiated synth type thing, it's having trouble coming through. So you could either like definitely do some of the mixing stuff I just talked about, but also if you want to use a synth in a synth line like that, giving it a little more of an attack that sticks out a little bit more is going to help it come out. But still, that tail is going to get lost in the mud of those other synths. So just be careful of that. Make sure things aren't too overcompressed. For the guitar, I think it's very cool to add the guitar as a part of this. I would definitely double track it and do one on the left, one hard right. That'll give you that nice wide sound, and it also makes it so it's not directly competing with that synth, you know? Also, you know what I was waiting for? Like a tom sound. Dum, 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 dum. Like I was just waiting for that. I don't know why. Just in my own vision. Dum, 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 dum. Like some heavier drums to come in at the end. Because I feel like the drums, those Foley little drums are nice, but I feel like the track implies something so much bigger maybe. But it's your creative vision. That's another part of these feedback streams. Like feel free to not take any of my feedback. It's your creative vision. Really, really cool sound though. Thank you to Dome. Don't forget to go give a follow to all the artists that you hear today. Where is the Discord? Here it is. All right. I need to take a restroom break. Let me see. I'm going to take a bathroom break when we get to Joshua Ho, because Joshua Ho is a pro and usually, you know, he's got it all together. Let's see if I can make it that long. Shoreline Drive by Celestian Prof. Let's see what we got going on here. River Walker asks an important question. What's your favorite hot sauce? That's very hard to say. I've always been partial to a Frank's Red Hot. I think that's great. But if you can get a Frank's Red Hot, get a little bit of mayonnaise and a little bit of sriracha, do a mix, I think it's a good combo. Tell me if anybody's tried that before. Oh, and also, yes, buffalo wing sauce. I wouldn't consider this hot sauce, but the McDonald's buffalo sauce, like buffalo sauce specifically, which I feel like is different from just hot sauce. I think McDonald's buffalo nugget sauce is like top tier buffalo sauce. Shoreline Drive by Celestian Prof. Okay, where are we going with this? Okay, 80s Miami Vice situation going on here. This melody feels a little rhythmically off, though I like it. Just feels like a little bit rhythmically off. Like it seems like it's like one beat too soon. Like it should come in on the beat. Boom. Dugga dugga dung dung. Dun, dun. All right, Celestian Prof. Very, very cool summer vibes. Pacific Coast Highway, driving down. I'm giving it the Miami Vice. I guess it's more like a Los Angeles Vice situation. Very cool groove. I really like what you did with this intro, like a proper intro to all the sounds we're gonna get. It did feel though like there's like a high pass filter on the whole thing. Like I don't feel like we're getting as much bass as we could be getting. Like I'm not feeling that kick at all. And the production itself sounds like it's like coming through an old TV. So I don't know if that was intentional, but I think we could get the full gambit of frequencies here. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Like the drums are very, very, very bright, which is cool. That reverb that's happening is very of the era that this music seems to try to be evoking. And then I already mentioned the rhythmic thing of the melody. I think there's a call and response happening with the melodies, which is cool. Dun, 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 dun. That's cool. You could probably bring that up a little bit. Bassline is nice too. Dun, 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 dun. But it definitely has the sound of an 80s, like it sounds like lo-fi 80s TV show. That's what it sounds like. So if you wanted this to sound more modern, I would just pull back on some of the stuff that's contributing to that, aka whatever filtering is happening. That lead. See, that beautiful lead is happening, and I think I kind of missed it the first time around because everything else is so much louder. Like the strings are louder, the drums are definitely louder, and it's all like rattling around in this reverb. I'm not sure if that reverb is on the master or if it's just on the drums. Wouldn't really recommend having a reverb on the master, but you know. And then you mentioned using Foley sounds for the first time. I would say be cautious with this because the end here kind of just sounded like a lot of noise. Like it ended up getting very noisy with the car engine sounds and everything. I would say don't introduce those car engine noises too soon. If you want them to be part of the outro, get most of the musical elements out of the way and make it clear we're transitioning into sort of like a Foley-led outro. But there could also be moments where you inject a little bit of Foley in, like right before a drop. If all the musical sounds drop out and we just hear an engine, and then it comes back in. Like, make space for the Foley sounds. Don't try to like push that Foley sound in with the music, because it takes a lot for it to go well mix wise. So like here in this intro, we've got these gaps. Like, could a little engine sound fit in those gaps or something, if that's what you want to do, if you want to inject more Foley into this track. But really cool. I feel like I'm watching a straight up 80s TV show listening to this. It's got a lot of good energy, Celestian Prof. I'm really surprised to hear this kind of production style from you. But it's cool to see you experiment every single time and come up with something new. So keep going, my friend. That's very, very cool. Celestian Prophet in action, dog. Exactly. The bass line was so groovin'. I agree. I think there's just got to be moments in the music where each one of those cool parts gets its time to shine, you know? Let's keep it going. E.T. All the way from outer space. Our very own E.T. Yo, Piccolo Black, I totally did mess up the start of the stream time, so you're not crazy. Wait, I just lost your chat. You're not crazy. I did mess up the scheduled stream time, so I apologize for that. Not your fault, but we did listen to your track. We jammed to it. We loved it. Thanks for coming through anyway. My bad on that. E.T. Holy vibes. Yo, Semi, become a member. You can get your track listened to. Check the description for the details. Snare is not quite sitting right. I'm not sure if it's just too loud or... That snare's coming through nice. Super spooky. Yeah, I'm not sure if this bass sound is the right choice. You can get the glidey sound, but I'm not really hearing that lowest of frequencies. So I'm not sure if you're just playing in too low of a range, or if another bass would come through better, or if adding a little bit of overdrive would make it pop out more in the low. Yeah, I think that main snare, you just pan it slightly to the right, bring it down a few dB in the mix. It might sound better, but right now it's kind of popping through in a weird way. The layered bass happening here is good. The sub plus the synth. Good ending too. Creos says lots of vibes on this stream. That's right. You don't need to just make one kind of music. Submit any kind of music. Yeah, it's spooky. I don't have much feedback other than the that main snare that comes in here and that bass as well. But it's a good drill track. Fits the bill for the genre. And I think you use, I don't know if that's a sample in the back, the strings and the cinematic nature. I don't know. The artist name is E.T. Okay, yeah. So I was going to say, is it sampled from a movie, but I'm not sure. It feels that way. Oh, that little shuddery voice thing. Very, very cool. Good job, E.T. Thank you for submitting that. To anybody who is confused about how to submit music, please double check the description. All the info you need is in the description. I promise if you become a part of this cool community, you're going to have such a better time making music, being a musician, artist on the internet than just going around into chats and like dropping your name and song title as if anybody's gonna be like, oh, you just like, imagine you just walked into a party and the first thing you said to somebody was, yo, listen to my music. Yo, here's my music. Listen to my music. You pass those people on the street in New York. Listen to my music. Listen to my music. Nobody wants to stop and listen to their music, right? You become a part of something. You walk in the room. You say, hey, what's going on, everybody? You get into conversation. You ask some people about themselves. They ask you about yourself. You get to talk about being a musician. That happens organically. I promise. The social skills aspect of being a musician is very important, and that does also apply in online spaces. So that's my little PSA on that for the day. But come through, check the description on the stream before you just jump in the chat and you're confused about what's going on. Everybody around here is going to help you with how to like get with the program, etc. Don't worry, you're not missing out on anything. Just hang out, have a good time for now. Joshua Ho's got another great track for us here. Let me close some of these tabs before things crash. We Are Not Alone, Sean NG and Joshua Ho. I'm going to take this opportunity to crank my speakers and run to the bathroom while we listen to what I assume is going to be a gorgeous track by Joshua Ho and his collaborator, released with the Jazz Hop Cafe on the 3079 compilation. 3079? Sorry if that got a little crunchy. Don't tell TAETRO what I told you, but we need more likes on the stream. I saw it. All right, what do we think of that? Chat. This track is crazy. The transformation of the intro riff over the beat into the main riff of the song. Love it. Like, I like this concept of the futuristic kind of lo-fi. I think everything sounds a little too lo-fi in my opinion, and it's crowding out the mix with just like the bandpass mid-rangey kind of thing with sounds competing with each other. I also think we could have pushed a little further into the future vibes. Like, I wonder if I listened to this track and it was just on another lo-fi playlist that was not this. Like, if this were a picture of trees, would it fit just as well? You know what I mean? Those guitar lines work so well, but the guitar lines are evoking that like 80s 90s pop sort of thing, which gets translated into our like retro vision of the future kind of thing. So I would have liked to see the rest of the instrumental also point in that direction, because the rest of the instrumental just kind of feels like your typical lo-fi tune to me. It's got this sort of like glorious type vibe to it, but where's that future thing? And here we get a synth. But again, it's kind of getting washed away. It's not taking that lead role. I'm still hearing the guitars in a lead role because they're coming so clear. And that other sound is like very muddied out. It's a good vibe. And it's already released, so who am I to say? It was good enough for the Jazz Hop Cafe 3079 compilation. Let's keep things moving. Thank you, Josh, for that submission. Cool to hear you doing different types of music. Push it out further next time. That's what I say. Okay. Sporg. All right, let me read. There's something important there in the Discord. Scrapped trying to do EDM, but focus on the creativity and musicality behind what I'm doing. This is just a short teaser. I'm dedicated more time for this track. I hope you like it. What sounds off? And could you and the members help me with similar styles so I can reference? I was thinking of Massive Attack, Kill Bill, and Insomnia when I made this. Thank you so much for your future feedback. Let's give it a listen. Psychedelic vibes. A bit of peaking going on there. Seems unintentional, so just be careful on levels. Yeah, stuff got too loud at the end and it started peaking, so just be careful about that. But this is really, really an interesting track. I think it's cool, especially with that little note about how you were trying to do EDM before, but you kind of started to lead into a certain kind of sound. I think there's like this width to this sound that's happening here. I don't think I have a good reference for this particular style of music. I don't even know how to pinpoint it. So chat, if you have reference points that you can share, please let us know in chat. But like when I think of like funky, weird production and stuff, somebody who's collaborated with a lot of other musicians, I think of like Flying Lotus. Like, I don't think this directly points to Flying Lotus, but there's some thin thread connection that you could make Like that bass, when that bass is playing, it sounds like it's playing in my room. I don't know how to describe this. Like I had to check if my speakers were still on. So cool sound design wise. Really like spatial, it feels like. But I say Flying Lotus because, you know, he's done a lot of collaborations with a lot of different artists, Thundercat, etc. And they always make kind of like funky, fun, but weird music. Yeah, Avery says experimental. I think keep going this way. Run in this direction. Be careful mixing wise, because towards the end it started to get crunchy. And it started peaking. You got to give yourself headroom in your mix. All your tracks, bring them down like 5 dB so you can, when you're ready to master it, bring it up to a level that is nice and loud, but not peaking. Very cool. Yeah, I don't necessarily remember exactly what you submitted last time, Sporg, but this is definitely the direction you want to go. Okay, Accent Noir is up next with The Ocean Floor. What do we have happening here? Chords and bass line are clashing harmony wise. I'm not sure how they go together. Stutter also sounds a little this track is a fail for me. I ran into a skill wall, so it's not finished. That's fine. If you run into a skill wall, if you feel like you're hitting the top of your skill level, less is more. Take your skills as far as they can go and get something that you think you sound confident in. And that oftentimes means being subtractive. So if you start making something and it becomes like a little bit of a mess, like this bass and these chords, I'm not sure what's going on there. Just review some of the music theory stuff maybe. But sometimes you're just building stuff and you don't really realize if it's coming together well or not, and you need to kind of like step back from the painting and look at it from a distance. So do that and be as objective as you can with yourself and start taking things away. Okay, that part, I worked really hard on that part, but I need to take it away for a second. Okay, things are starting to sound a little bit better. Like here, the track is getting simpler. But the bass and the chords are still not lining up. It's like a sunk cost fallacy. Like you think you've put into so much time into something that you can't like undo it. That undoing it and doing it again would be too much work. Just stick with what you have. You should not have that mentality. You should go be brutal with your edits and leave stuff on the cutting room floor and figure out how to make it work. Like those notes not resolving together, that's tough. So don't feel like it's a fail. Just like be a little more objective with your own self critique. Ayodi makes a good point. The levels are good overall, so I think it's close. And then I see where you're going with this. Yeah, I think like levels wise, mix wise, it's fine. It's just some of these musical ideas don't link together. I don't even think the sound selection is bad. I just think if they all work together, it would be better. Especially when this stuttery thing comes in. Where is it? It's almost like ahead of the beat, which like I'm already feeling unsteady with the harmony. So now I'm feeling unsteady with the rhythm, and all of that unsteadiness coming together makes it sound like not sure if this track needs a little more time in the oven, you know? So all that being said, hit your skill wall, like take your skills as far as they can go. And definitely do try to push beyond those. That's how you end up learning. But know that you're in that learning process so that you're going to push in directions that are unknown to you, and that you're inevitably going to make mistakes in that process. So now pull yourself out of that. Look at your track objectively as you can. If this was a track that you heard on the street, random dude on the street accosts you and says, listen to my music, what would your feedback be to him if this wasn't your track? Forget about all the work that you put into it, because that's going to like taint your, how you self-critique. You'll be like, I put so much work into this, I can't possibly go fix it, you know? Forget about that. Pretend it's somebody else's track. What would you say? And then pull back. Cutting room floor. Take it to the drawing board again. So I don't think it's a failure, Exit Noir. I think it's just you're pushing beyond your current skill set, which is what we all should be doing. Now, refine. And you had some thoughts about like sound design and mix wise. I would think less about the mix at this stage and think more about nailing those musical ideas. You can have a bad mix and good music and people will still be like, oh, it's pretty good. We can fix the mixing. The musical ideas side of things is what is, there's like a little more artistic subjectiveness too, so it's harder to nail. Showya with Solitude by the River. Mystical forest vibes. This is another case of where we have this big ambient pad in the middle taking up way too much space. Be careful of this, my friends, with your mixes. Your big ambient pads, your big chord instrument, that is occupying space that your other instruments need to get into. And also the bass rhythm. I don't know if the bass is too fast or just lock that in. Perhaps even a different bass sound would work. A longer bass sound with less of an attack. Because now it just sounds like rogue electric bass notes. Dong. Dong. Whereas like a real bass electric bass player, dong, 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 they'd be doing something more. So why use an electric bass sound if you're not going to play it like an electric bass, you know? Nice little piano break here. See, look how much here in the waveform we get this quiet piano part, so naturally the waveform gets lower. But look how much bigger the waveform gets here when this chord synth comes in. It becomes like the biggest it's been, other than a few peak transients here and there. That tells me that most of the sound that we're hearing is that chord synth. That it's occupying a lot of the mix. A lot of what we're hearing. Also, since the piano is the only thing moving fast, dun, 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 should there be another element that is driving us forward too? Like the hi-hat or the bass. Dun, 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 dun. Something else could drive us forward if you want to create motion. Bring that guitar up and the chords down. Hi Showya, nice to see you. Thanks for treating us to this nice magical ambient walk in the forest. I know you asked for feedback on the arrangement. It's interesting, these drums never came back. I feel like energy in music, it should always build. Of course, there's plenty of music that breaks this convention where the energy does not build and it gets softer over time. But I feel like once you've sort of rang the bell of energy, once we got this nice backbeat here, we're kind of always waiting to get back to it, especially when there's another whole half of the track here, you know what I mean? Ujan says, keeping the music momentum going in these quiet songs are the hardest. That's true. But you know, you have the advantage in this kind of quiet ambient music, you have the advantage of emotion. So if you can drive emotion in music like this, you can play with that. You can use that to keep momentum going. You have like emotional momentum to keep going. So, yeah, I think this is a very strong, beautiful ambient track. Lock in that bass and consider the bass sound selection. Does it need to be an electric bass sound? If it does, maybe write the part to be more like an actual electric bass. If not, maybe switch the sound so it's just a simpler, longer bass that just carries your root note. I think the drums sound good. There was something you said in the Discord about what the vocal melody instrument, it's an instrument, it sounds fake. Was wondering what your thoughts are on it. Nothing about the vocal instrument stood out to me as like particularly fake or like inauthentic. I thought it sounded pretty good. You can probably play with it a little more. You can probably have a couple notes echo here and there. You can probably transform the vocal over time with some effects. That kind of thing. rather than having it just be a single little note. Because nobody thinks it's a real singer, of course. So if you add effects to it, it's almost like you're acknowledging that, yeah, we know it's not a real singer. This is an instrument. And yeah, the chord synth, bring that down, get it out of the way of all the other cool stuff you have going, because the strings fit nicely too. I even wish the strings could come back and sort of play with the piano a little bit here. All things to consider, but this is a nice peaceful walk through the forest, so thank you for that. Great song to meditate to. Yes, I agree. Who's eating pizza? Could be a track for a chill mobile game. Good point. All right, our friend Tenley from Ukraine. We got a whole story going here. Don't you think the drums are very boring? Let's find out. And Tenley also says, I'm open to collaborations. I've never done this before, but if anyone is interested, let's make a track for Spotify. We have a collaborations channel, by the way. So if you want to link up with people and collaborate, you can do that. Let's get Tenley's track going here. Nice opening piano here. Good use of the field recording here, that kind of wind whirring in the background. There's some great stuff happening with the piano here, Tenley. Really great job. I think the guitar and the piano blend quite well. This is a really great composition overall. Tenley asked, aren't the drums a little boring? They are pretty typical run-of-the-mill lo-fi drums, but if you're having that question, it probably means you think they're a little boring. So how do we make them not boring? But how do we keep the simplicity and the relaxed, laid-back nature of the track? That is a push and pull question we may have. First of all, you can start thinking about your drum phrases longer. So if you're looking at a 4-bar loop, or maybe even less, if you're looking at a 1 or a 2-bar loop, expand that out. Let's look at the minimum an 8-bar drum loop. If you look at your drums, like 8 bars, you have the little drop out there, which is nice. If you look at this whole section from when the drums come in all the way to here, look at that as a single drum loop and create tiny variations along the way for that whole loop. Because if you just do a 4-bar loop and you create variations with that, it's just the same variations repeated across. So it's still like boring in that sense. You extend that and the variations are across now 16 bars. We never get the exact same thing every time. So that's one way. Another way is to add a few ghost notes. Some double hits. And can we introduce a couple more instruments? Perhaps like a ride cymbal. 2 things to think about. Think about a soft jazz drummer. Go listen to some soft, lounge, easy jazz that evokes kind of a similar mood to this, right? Listen to what that drummer does to change energy throughout the whole track, even though he's playing very quietly, trying to play very simply, trying to not take up too much space, from brushed snares, the sort of care a drummer like that takes with brushed snares, because you can just be like running the brushes on the surface, or you can go a little harder, or you can now tap the surface, all different timbres with a single drum. Then how do they switch from playing the ride with brushes, or do they then go to a stick, and how does that change the energy of the track? Pull yourself out of the lo-fi stuff for a second and think about if you could add a few more sounds in there without taking up too much space. You could release this track probably now and get it on a playlist anyway, so you can make no changes. And then the last thing I would say to think about is watch some SP404 performers and producers. They do a lot with the next level of production, which is like the performance effects and things like that. That could be another layer I can see contributing to this track if you think it's getting a little too boring. But remember, this is a calming track. It's not supposed to be calling too much obvious attention to itself, I guess. But Tenley, you've done great work here. Really, really great work. And Tenley's looking for collaborators. So if you're in the Discord server, Tenley, also maybe it's worth, if you haven't already, posting a call for collaborators in the collaborations channel, which of course is somewhere. I can find it. Don't worry. Members, where is the collab channel? Oh, collabs. I have it collapsed. Right there. Go make a call in the collabs channel. All right. Johnny, welcome to the Wanderers. Thank you for joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have any trouble getting yourself into the Discord server, ask for help from some folks in chat, or !Discord in chat for full instructions. Quesadillas de medianoche. Quesadillas de medianoche. Cheers. Thank you for joining. All right, let's keep it going. Mustafa. I hope you like, and also I'm open for feedback, because that's my first reason why I'm sharing this with you. Hope you like it. Mufasa Isa. Let's give a listen. We're in the lo-fi section of this show, I think. Musically, these ideas are cool, but you don't need to make it this lo-fi. The whole track being filtered, you don't gotta do that. You could do it for an intro and an outro maybe, but I think it's gone a bit too far, don't you say? Johnny, please read those directions that Nightbot posted to link your Discord and your YouTube channel from within Discord. Nice short little song, Mustafa. I would say, yes, just pull that filter out and lean more into this kind of synthwave situation you have going here. Dun, 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 dun. The whole thing being filtered like this, though, means that it's kind of just like a gimmick, I guess you could say. It's not like a real song that I would put on and listen to. Whereas if we evolved out of that and we had our full bass and a little more highs, you know, I'd feel like it was like a quote-unquote real track. I don't know. I don't think many people are listening to this sort of just like old radio style thing. Unless that's your thing and you want to create an 1 hour mix of old radio style synthwave lo-fi, maybe there's an audience for that. Johnny, you don't need the link to the server. Once you link your Discord and your YouTube account, you are automatically in the server, and the server will appear. You might have to restart Discord to make it work, but you don't need the link to the specific server. Falcon Lord, welcome to the party. Thanks for joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wanderers. I think everybody panics. Everybody panics with the Discord. I don't know what it is. Nightbot gives a nice detailed link with all the information, and then people panic. I don't know why. You're gonna get in, my friends. Don't worry. This is not Berghain. Pilgrim of Light. Coastal Calm to test. What are you testing? Are you testing me? Ready. This is like I'm about to embark on an adventure. That sustained note does so much for like building anticipation. It's a good mix between Foley and the synths. So far, so good. They exist together, clearly. Because the melody is not too busy. Oh, it's for sleeping music. Interesting. Sleeping music. Yeah, it is kind of like a Headspace vibe. You're embarking on a journey. You board the ship that will take you deep into the ocean. You're the only one aboard this vessel. As the boat launches from the port, your eyes are drawn to the sky. You can see some gray clouds in the distance, but the direction you're going, the sky is blue with white puffy clouds off in the distance. A sign of the calm journey you're about to embark on. See, if I do that kind of like narration over it, it fits perfectly, right? I feel like that's a good test. Oh, like a foghorn. It totally is like a foghorn. That's great. Yeah, this is why context is really, really necessary for this kind of music. Because if you didn't tell me, like, oh, it's for ambient study or sleeping or whatever, I would just say, why don't we push it a little further? Why don't we do a little more stuff with the melody? Why don't we introduce a new instrument? But, you know, this music has its place. Toby says my heart rate is lowering now. Yeah, good fade out too. I would say on that note, feel free to fade out a little longer and go all the way to 0. You know what I mean? Just field recording and then all the way to 0. Perhaps even not just a volume fade, but bring a reverb dry wet out. Let everything sort of that sort of thing, and let that reverb tail fade, perhaps. That's sort of like people going off into a dream. But yeah, beautiful track. Perfect for study or bed. So I think you have achieved your goal, my friend. Now make an album of this so we can all fall asleep at night. I saw Inside Out 2 over the weekend. Anybody else saw that movie or a fan of that movie? It was very good. Look at this. You're getting all kinds of great feedback from the chat, too. Kayla says, I feel extremely calm now, really meditative. Don't know how to judge this as a song since you did accomplish the goal of making a song for sleeping. But good job either way. Could loop this one for 20 hours and make those ambient videos. Yep. A Mother's Day gift from my mom who lives far from the ocean. Wow, that's so nice. All right, I don't know this for sure, but it feels like we're going off in a different direction here now, folks. So brace yourselves, wake up, dreams over, back to reality. If you're gonna have this big rock instrumental, we definitely need a rock drum set, not whatever these drums are. Yeah, even just like a real snare would go a long way here. Because the drums are getting swallowed up by this giant instrumental, which is epic. Very cool time switch up here too. Has like freaking ending of a movie vibe at the end there. Crazy. I really love all the textures. It's like I said, it's got this post alternative situation happening. Those drums, we need more on those drums. Think about it. All your instruments, like, it all needs to live up to the thing. You've got these big instruments, and the main snare drum is like this can. You know, it's not all in balance. You know what I mean? But there was a couple moments where the chords were kind of weird with the piano. Weird note there. Don't put notes just for the sake of putting notes. That little dun dun, I have no idea what that's doing, but it's sort of like breaking the song at that moment. But the layers of these chords make it sound huge, and I think they're coming together to make one giant wall of sound, which I think is working out pretty well. And then you have the time switch up here at the end, which is good for the structure, keeps us listening, keeps us guessing. Good job, Adequate Living Situation. You're in a more than adequate music production situation, it would seem. All right, back to the ambient vibes. Levi Cole is bringing us back to the ambient vibes with the creation on the OP1 field. I spent a lot of time with the OP1 field and SP404 this weekend. Ooh. Motive Bravo, it's the OP1 field, so the second iteration of the OP1, or the 1.5 iteration of the OP1. So this is really well put together. Is it just 2 tracks on the tape? I don't think Levi is with us. Not easy to put together a long form composition on the OP1 field, for sure. Not sure where else I should take something like this. I think it's like very minimal and it's working as a minimal piece. I'm not like, oh, you should have added this here, you should have added that here. I think it's generally working. Oh, I see. It's at least 3 tracks. Cool. Yeah. I'm not yearning for so much more, I would say. I mean, like maybe some slight timbral changes, especially on that ARP that happens the whole time. If you could play with a filter on that a little bit, or get the LFO to sort of gently change over time, just a little more motion maybe, but it is a gentle minimal piece. So like I said, I'm not like, oh, you should have added this, you should have added that. I think if you made little pieces like this, I think there's an audience for this kind of stuff. Kayla says she likes all the subtle elements. Yeah, that little like percussion works really well. Levi Cole is at the airport. What's up with people tuning into the stream? Last week or last time it was like beta run, I think, was at the airport. Good music for getting through an airport, I would say. This is almost like, you know, the scene in the movie where the detective can't quite figure out what's going on with the situation. So they get a bunch of books from the library and they sit in their studio, and then this is like a time lapse of them like going through all the books and taking notes and waiting for that breakthrough, like trying to figure it out. Perfect for that scene. Thank you, Levi. Glad you made it through TSA. Have a safe flight. Now Creos keeps coming back for more with some deep house. Wake up, everybody. We keep flip-flopping between super calm ambient tracks to super louder tracks. Ooh. That clap. Thanks, Jen. Okay. Careful that doesn't come in too loud. Yeah, I think just taming some of those dynamics. Like that riser got really loud. That top note on the piano got really loud. It will stick out anyway. You don't have to push it in the mix too much. And then that snare that I really liked, or that clap earlier that I really liked, you don't have to push that out too much either. And here the synth is really, really dominating the mix. It doesn't sound like things are playing together. It sounds like the synth is playing on top of everything else. Or the drums at least. That little rhythm, da, 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 da. Play with that with the drums, I feel. Little claps on that rhythm or something. Just came to my mind. I would definitely clean up that piano solo situation here. That sounded like so unfinished compared to everything else in the track. I'm also surprised the filter is never lifting off of that bass synth. Oh, we gotta come up with a better ending than that, for sure. Yeah, but just take note of some of those mixing things I mentioned earlier, but Creos, you are crushing it on the house stuff. I would say this track is like 90% there, 95% there. So cool. I Am Orange says, props to everyone sharing. These have been great. I Am Orange, thank you for tuning in and supporting this community. I would like to know if anybody else out there is just lurking, just listening. Who is here just listening? Super curious to hear from those folks. Carp, you're late to the party, but that's okay. You made it. Welcome. Yes, Creos, great job. Keep it going with the house stuff. You're crushing it on that front. All right, Katarina is up next. Wondering if sound design makes sense. Where I learned to remove things, not add more. And feedback on the mixing would be great. Let's check it out. We really are in this back and forth pattern between like calm ambient stuff and dancey or loud music. Hello, Katarina. Thanks to all the lurkers and listeners out there. Appreciate you all. I love this bell sound. It's like a bike bell. Didn't see that coming. It's giving 007 GoldenEye. Something about that snare. It's cool. Katarina, I would suggest those bells, now that all these other elements are in, those bells, reserve those for the higher frequencies. Get some of the mid-rangey stuff out that's sort of like feeling very resonant and competing with some of the drum sounds. But also, here, let's let it continue. And I do really like that flute. That dip in pitch is very spooky and cool. Is that the owl flute? Okay, so it's cool that you added the drums, but I would say if you know we're going to add drums here, they come in very unexpectedly. And then in comparison to this earlier sort of ambient, mystical section of the beat, when the drums come in, things end up sounding very empty, which is kind of ironic because we expect drums to sort of fill out the mix. And that's because once the drums enter, we expect like a certain level of ensemble. We expect a certain level of instrumentation. One very important one being bass. We should definitely get a bass at some point in this track if there's going to be this sort of drum percussion situation happening. Even if it just follows the string line and just gives us the root notes, I'm really searching for that low end in this. I think that could help a lot. And there's like hints of a kick there. Like it's like, again, it's this filtered out drum thing. We've had a few instances of that today. If you want there to be drums and you want the drums to be driving momentum in this song, give me the full frequency range. Give me a low kick. Give me an actual snare. You know, like be deliberate about it. Now, these drums being here, it sounds like you're unsure if you want the drums to be here. You're like unsure if drums were the right choice. I think they're working with all the other elements. So now don't be afraid and like go forward and like fill out these drums a little bit more and give us a bass line. And I know it sounds like you were being cautious from your Discord message about taking things away, and that's better. Like everything here sounds good together, at least musically. And it sounds like we could add a little more. You wanted the drums to be kind of subtle. I would say if you want the drums to be more subtle, I would pull back on like the density of the drums, because they're super present right now. I wouldn't say that they're subtle at all. Like think about the number of drum hits there are across a 4-bar loop, right? It's a very dense drum rhythmic thing happening. So if you wanted it to be more subtle, I would pull back on it being a straight up rhythmic kind of. It sounds like it's supposed to be a drum set, but you used other sounds, which is fine. But that implies like it's supposed to be fuller. So if you want it to be more subtle, we almost need to pull back on what the drums are doing. Sounds like a little bit of an identity crisis. Are the drums there to drive the track forward and give us a sense of momentum? Or are the drums there to be part of like the scenery? If that's the case, we got to think very carefully about what the drums are doing. But the other elements you use, the chimes and all that stuff, all that is amounting to a very mystical situation. I would say the strings are sounding like a little too basic. The single notes at a time. But here, like with the dense drums, if you were going to fill it out with bass and a full drum kit, the strings could be part of the scenery as well. But now, if you pulled back on some of these drums, I'd be paying more attention to like this very basic string line. So a few things to think about. Try not to be too caught up in an identity crisis and try to just go forward with a single concept in mind and make sure you're really executing on that concept. But it's close. I can feel the hesitancy though. Thank you, Katarina. Well done. All right. Let's keep it going. Ayote is up next. Folks, we have been going for 2 hours and 19 minutes. So if you have been enjoying this stream, please leave a like. It helps more people find us. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Even if you're not going to submit today, if you want to be able to submit next month, go ahead and become a member so that you're already and situated in the Discord for the next time. And don't forget about the Ghost Wave Challenge we have going on. Link is pinned to the top of the chat. Hope you're all enjoying this. Our next track review will be July, at the end of July. But don't forget that we're going to be live every single Monday up until then. And also, I might just go live on Thursday. Little hint for everybody who stayed watching. If only
I could let fear go. If only let my feelings show. If only I could stop pretending. If only I could change the ending. If only I was fierce and round. If only truth came from my mouth. If only I could cheat this fate. If only the hour were not so late. Time is gone to put away childish games of yesterday. Need to find my purpose, do my will, let it surface. Time is gone to put away childish games of yesterday. Need to find my purpose, do my will, let it surface.
Wow, so this is a switch up of a of the first track you ever made. Change the genres. That's very cool. The one thing I noticed about the vocal production is the vocals are sounding a lot of low mids in those vocals, which means I feel like I'm saying this about almost every track, some element. Low mids are making it very difficult to have the vocals heard above some of these brighter synths. Here at the beginning, it's not so bad because the instrumental is very minimal, right? So we have no problem hearing both the synth and the vocal.
If only I could stop pretending.
Yes, a bit muffled, I would say. By the time we get to the end, when that other super bright synth comes in and the instrumental is more dense, it becomes especially hard to hear the main vocal.
Of yesterday, need to find my purpose, do my will.
Where's all the brightness on the vocal? We're definitely looking for that in a main vocal, the brightness, and it's definitely going to be competing with all those other synths, which definitely got to come down in the mix. Your vocal should be on top for sure. Old radio stations used to ask for the vocal up mix of a track. You have to send to the radio station a mix of a song. You'd have your normal mix of the song that went on the album, then you have the track that goes to radio. They'd make you like boost the vocal by 10 decibels or something. I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying that's what people want. People want the vocals on top. Also, man, this first section where the drums come in, super cool drums. The drums are awesome in that section. Some of those background vocals, though, are competing with the main vocals, so just be very, very careful of that. And then what I noticed, what happens structurally with the song is then like every 4 bars or every 8 bars, whatever, the instrumental kind of drastically changes. Like here, I feel like the high synth, those chord stabs are just a little distracting with how they're mixed in. They're super on top. But like over 1 minute and 30 seconds, we're getting like all these different feels. And I'm not saying variation is bad, but I'm saying give us something to kind of grab onto and feel like home. So being that if this was one of your first songs and it was this short, I would say fill it out a little bit more and lean into what's working really well, like these opening drums. And don't feel the pressure to like totally diverge, and like by the time we get here, we get that crazy synth. But I feel like we didn't like earn it over time because it's only 90 seconds. How could we have earned the right, whatever that means, to go from this, really cool drum groove, really cool 80s vibe to like this, which is like harder synth stuff. Like we didn't build enough context to get from A to B to Z. We kind of jumped right to Z, if that makes sense. But it's definitely cool. I would definitely lean into more of this 80s style stuff that was happening in the front half of the song. Have a second verse? Yeah. Yeah, get those nice bright vocals. I don't know if you didn't record on a condenser. I would definitely be recording on a condenser and get that nice brightness out. Thank you, as usual, AOD. Is that our first vocal-led track today? Usually we have a few more. All right, with Peace and Love. I saw something funny in the Discord. With Peace and Love, we are closing submissions for today. So everybody that's already submitted, fantastic. If you haven't submitted and you wish you did, you can submit next month. With Peace and Love. Somebody type submissions closed in the chat so I can pin it. That would be great. And then somebody can drop a closed GIF in the Discord. We're going to keep going though. We have lots more tracks to listen to. That just means we can't keep stacking tracks on top. Apolicus with Almost Lost. Whoa. I think the weird robotic glitchy thing kind of takes me out of it and doesn't match the rest of the track. If it was pushed back down in the mix and was more of a texture thing, maybe it would work well. And also this main instrument that we have, that's got the noise layer on top. I really love the sound of that instrument, but over in this section, it was taking up a lot of space mix-wise. Yeah, get that. That robotic thing has gotta go. It's like totally killing the vibe of what is otherwise like a really powerful instrumental. That vocal sample works extremely well. These drums can be hitting a lot harder too. The drums are kind of very, very far back in the music. It's not pleasing, right? If I do that. Yeah, cool. It's got a cool structure to it too. Dun, dun, dun. Once that noise layer comes in, it kind of like takes over everything. So just be careful of that. I think that noise can still be there, but if I bring the volume down, all I can hear is that white noise. So I know it's super loud. It can still be part of the texture of the instrument, but it's kind of dominating not just the instrument sound, but the mix. And just the track goes from being like a very good and thoughtful track to like red flag amateur hour as soon as that sound comes in. As soon as this sound comes in, it's giving like I just got Ableton Live for the first time and I found this weird ass sample. Now I'm gonna put it in this track. Don't do stuff like that. Everybody, don't do stuff like that. You find the weird abrasive thing, you don't need to use it. It's funny, it's cool when you find it in the library. It's like, oh, what is this weird abrasive robot sound? You don't need to use it. I promise. It's not making your track better. All right, yeah, bring those drums back up. Like listen to a rock reference for this, but like you want those drums to be like those got to be coming through. Exactly what I did. I'll try to push it back in the mix. Yes, don't you all come back to your original vision for your track. This is the problem with like digital music making and having a seemingly limitless like sample library and plugin library. You can just, it's like, don't do random stuff. don't reach. The carpenter does not go to the toolbox like with a blindfold and reach back into the toolbox and go, oh, a hammer, I guess that's what I need to clean the window, and then smashes the window with the hammer. Like, the carpenters don't do that. Musicians, we don't need to do that either. Don't reach into your bag of samples or plugins and be like, oh, maybe this one. No, you need to have a vision for where your track is. Is this track giving like a abrasive industrial robot sound? No, not at all. I can say that confidently as not even the creator of this track. But I do love that synth sound with the noise on top. The synth is just the noise is just too loud, but the synth sound itself is great. Good job, ADR X-Ray. So just do that and just a bit more discipline next time in trying to bring in the random chaos. Motive Bravo is up next. Another house tune. Techno. Sorry. I would never mistake those two. They're very, very different, obviously. Hello? Are we going to war? Just listen to how every element has a place and a distinct sort of like job. We have that like soft marimba-esque sound and that really harsh synth that comes in but doesn't come in all the time, just those little gestures. Oh. Really cool use of playing with tempo here. what I want to also point out, that big epic like war horn drop it's only happened twice in this track, and they've happened so far apart from each other. Many of you out there would find a cool sound like that and be like, cool, I'm going to use that every 4 bars. Don't do that. So I have no feedback for this track. I think you should all go study this track. If you want to make techno like this, even if you're not making techno, go listen to this track and study why does the structure work. What was really cool about this section playing with tempo is like, it wasn't just a tempo change. It wasn't just like, let's slow down. It's like we sit in a little half speed groove for a while and then build back up to full speed. It's all very subtle. And like I said earlier, every single part has its place. There's no weirdness going on. There's no like reaching back into the random grab bag of samples and being like, oh, throw this in there. It's all very deliberate. Not just on the sound selection front, not just on the musical idea front, but also on the like sound design front. Everything going from super filtered to just like, boom, open up. Think about it, my friends. All right, let's keep it going. Showya says, how do I become more disciplined? TAETRO, teach me. How do I become more disciplined? TAETRO, teach me. Look, it's not easy to be disciplined as a musician, as a music producer. You're constantly being self-critical of yourself. You're constantly learning how to make it better and trying to apply that in real time. And you can never be like truly objective of your own work. So, to help with your discipline, you just need to be more in touch with the reality of what sounds good and what does not sound good. If you can take yourself out of the music making process and be like, and listen to your own music as if it's not music that you made, as if it's music you just found out in the wild, as if it's somebody else's. Because if you judge the music really thinking about how you made it, you're lost. You're lost in the sauce. Nobody cares about how you made it. Nobody cares about how many hours you spent making your music. Nobody cares about how many synths you used in this track. Nobody cares about the cool sound design trick that you used to make this track. Nobody cares. They care if the music is good, if the musical ideas are good, and if it sounds good. So you need to view your music like those people. This weekend, I was working on a beat. Every time I'm working on music, do you know the expression, kill your darlings? Sometimes you worked really hard on a chord progression. Sometimes you worked really hard on a melody. And you work hard on it and you start building the track and you get about 20 minutes in and you're like, dang, this melody is actually the thing that's bringing this whole song down. So you might be tempted to be like, oh, let me just go change the filter on this melody. Let me just go change the envelope on this melody, change the synth sound up a little bit. No, the melody was bad. As long as you keep that melody, the song will continue to be bad. Kill your darlings. That's part of being disciplined for sure. You gotta just be okay with deleting stuff. It might seem like, oh, but now it's gonna take me so much longer. I gotta write another melody. No. It's going to take you longer to keep the bad melody in the track just because, why? Because you spent time making it? Who cares? You spend time making like a bunch of other things too. Like you just got to get rid of them if they're not working. You need to have like no emotion towards the individual musical ideas that you make. And everything needs to be in service to the bigger vision. If you have an actual vision for the kind of track you want to make, the kind of vibe you want to create, the way you want your listeners to move to your music, if that is very clear, if it's not clear right from the beginning, it should be very clear, very close to when you just started making the music. Like it should be very clear, like soon into the music making process. If you don't have that vision, you're going to get lost in the sauce and you're going to be like, let me just add a random sample here. Let me just add this random synth sound. And you didn't really think like, does this sound I'm adding, does this musical idea I'm adding, does this orchestration of music, does it contribute to my vision? If you lose sight of that, you end up with this just like hodgepodge grab bag version of a track that's like, oh, I hear that you kind of listen to deadmau5 and you kind of listen to Flying Lotus, and you kind of listen to all these people, and you just like put it into a blender, and it all sounds kind of gross because you weren't deliberate enough about it. You didn't say like, the strawberries will go well with the vanilla ice cream, and if I put those together, it's going to make a nice blend. That's like the level of thinking you need to be doing. I hope that can clarify it. It's not an easy thing. It's hard to look at your music objectively, but it's a skill to work on every day. Let's continue on. We have quite a few more tracks to go. Thank you all for tuning into this stream and having a good time supporting independent artists from around the world. Fernia is going to be up next. Says the track is still feeling bare bones. Or just too simple. Best sample app? Either Lander or Splice. There's no best one. Stop looking for the best things, my friends. There's no best thing. Next feedback stream will be in July. End of July. About a month from now, basically. There is a drum sound in there that sounds like a fart. That one. I love that piano. I don't think this is bare bones at all. I think this is fully fleshed out. Good instrument choices, good musical ideas. Love that piano at the end. I wish we could get more of that piano. I mean, it's kind of gorgeous at the beginning too. Though the thing about it, with that fart drum, you hear it, right? Here's the thing. Just because you're making lo-fi beats does not mean you need to throw a low-pass filter on the drums. And what's interesting is none of the other instruments are filtered like that. So can we open up the filter a little bit on the drums? Please? A little more high frequencies in the drums. I think that'll help that kind of fart sound, unless you can just swap it all together. The drums kind of like everything else is big and open and it implies space. The guitar, the piano, it's like big and open, and then the drums are like, I'm back here, the drums are back here. So just make sure all your stuff is like working together. It goes back to that point about vision, you know? Every single element in your music needs to contribute to the same vision. If they don't, that's where things start to sound disjointed. And even if a listener can't articulate why it sounds disjointed, they can feel it. So they just reach for the next, they reach for the skip button. But Fernia, this is a really good track. Other than that drum sound, and like perhaps open up the filter on the drums a bit. But beautiful guitar and beautiful piano. The drum pattern is good. Like I said, it's just a sound design choice. The Dream Machine is up next. Experimental ambient stuff, I think, is on its way. Last time I said the music would be great with a visual, so they've added a visual. reflecting on the eternal cycle of death and reincarnation. They ask, do you still get a melancholic, dreamy vibe, and is it too simple? I would definitely expect for some more piano notes to come on top. Like, I think it could definitely use some top line piano melody over this piano loop. The piano loop can stay repetitive as it is. I definitely think there's space for like higher end melodic instruments to be coming either in and out or just slower melodies on top. Dun, 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 dun. Whatever it is. The field recording does get a little aggressive at some points because it's like kids yelling and having a good time. So if you wanted something more dreamy and spacey, I would wash it out with some reverb, and perhaps that happens over time. And I know I recommended visuals, but here is what you should do. If you want to do visuals, this goes back to this is like the same advice I was giving before about like drums and sound selection. If you want to capture visuals, and you want to use video, and you go record something with your phone, don't add a bunch of effects to it. It makes it look really cheap and amateur. Like, black and white is fine. This kind of just looks like my first day in iMovie kind of thing. Avoid that. Avoid it, avoid it, avoid it. I think beginners go in two different directions with anything, with music, with video. They go in the direction of, I'm going to keep it super simple and super basic, which I think is a safer way to go. And then they go, let me grab everything and throw the kitchen sink at this thing. Let me take every single thing I know how to do, you know, like let me throw a bunch of effects on this video or whatever. If you want to have a more dirty video look, that's fine, but this is not a dirty video look. This is like I put a bunch of iMovie effects on my video, right? This is not, it's not giving retro, it's not giving aged, it's giving like just kind of artificially, what do I want to say? Just artificially manipulated. Which is fine, like it's a first attempt, but like I said, keep it simple. Your music is simple, but think about how complex these visuals are. I actually wonder if I could tell I was looking at a carnival ride if you hadn't told me. So all those elements at play. Yes, I think it could use a melody on top, and if you did simpler visuals and you use actual effects that make the video look aged, like a slight desaturation, a slight fade, bringing the shadows up a little bit, a slight grain. You know, like everything subtlety, everything in small doses, my friends. Everything in small doses. I think the beginner instinct is usually like all in, all at once, extreme. Subtlety goes a long way in making your stuff seem more professional. Keep things moving. Con in time instrumental.
And you can sit down and talk to me about it, and that's beautiful.
This is a song that's meant to have lyrics, but they are not recorded yet. James Bondish. I would say compared to everything else, the snare by itself sounds a little weak. Like when those big toms come in, it's great, but it's almost like we need that level of saturation on the snare too.
Who are you? Who are you? One time is all you need with the right person. It just makes it more beautiful of the same thing.
Big problem here is the overall volume change between the cinematic section and the rock section. Ideally, the rock section, the levels would be hitting the same as this section here. Also, why not use the rock drum kit for this section now?
And it's true.
I also think you can find a more creative way to transition between the sections than just stopping, playing a movie quote, and then starting again.
And we can say, well, you haven't seen anything yet. Because there are things that are more beautiful.
Crazy. Yeah, so just double check the mixing on both of these sections because you're going to want these levels to be matching up. Otherwise, it sounds jarring when we go from one to the other. Maybe you can do the quote and the stop and quote thing once, maybe twice if they're separated, but I would find a more creative way to transition between the genre sections. And then, try to blend. If it's okay if at first you have the electronic section, then you have the rock section. But then as the track evolves, can you blend the two? Like when we now alternate again and we go into the electronic section, can we have the rock drums or a bit of guitar? Then we go back into the rock section. Can we bring a couple synths or something in during that? A blended evolution. All right, Ujan. Let's do it. City pop type beat. I'm going to use this opportunity to run to the bathroom and blast this on my speakers. Be right back. saxophone. That particular, like, doot, 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 that percussion instrument. What is that? Like a wood block or something? That's coming in a little strange in the mix. That's coming in not as bright as the other percussion. You definitely need the top end attack of that. But that's my only note. Kayla wants to know if it's a real saxophone. I definitely think the sax should come up in the mix. Sample. Yeah, it sounds good. I wanted to go back to this part. Yeah, I think one, if it's like city pop vibes, if we're thinking like 80s, like sort of Japanese production style, a little more brightness on the attack of the drums, I think, is one thing that could be improved. Like here, let me go to that fill. Like that fill, that drum fill, I feel like is a sample by itself. It's not the actual drum kit you're using for the song. But if you listen to that drum fill, it's like gated reverb. I can hear the top end of the drums, and it's like the reverb is resonating the high end frequency. So we need more of that quality for the rest of the drums. I need to hear their crisp, sort of bright attack and a little more reverb. Gated reverb, if you want to be real authentic. But anyway, Woo-chan, you always got the jams, so good job. Thank you for submitting that. All right, Allan, this track is nearly 5 minutes long. We will listen to at least the first 3 minutes of it, my friend. This track is called Ascending Potential. It builds up nicely, looking for pointers to see how it can improve. Those sort of filtered delays are not gelling very well. It's like the high frequency stuff is taking up so much space. That nice bright saw that's just like holding. And then you have these other like bloops and blops that are trying to compete. Like, what am I supposed to pay attention to? The loud high frequencies or the mid-range frequencies that are desperately trying to get my attention? I will also say that having the entire track be a build-up, build-ups only work because of tension and release. There's not any release here. So, like, the tension just continuously builds up. It's like I'm stretching a rubber band. And at some point, it's like too intense to even watch because it's just expanding and expanding, and I know it's going to snap and it's going to be painful. So, does the whole track need to be tension with no release? Also, it gets very confusing as to like where the one is. Like, what is this little double hit thing here? It sounds like a mistake. Kind of weird delayed thing there. It's an interesting synth situation, but I feel like there's not enough varied sounds, and everything is sort of like tension. It's not just the tension of the musical ideas and the growing over time. It's like that the fact that the saw seemingly gets more and more intense over time. And I'm not sure if you are automating the levels to increase over time, like the gain or the volume of each track. But I would avoid doing that, and I would create your build-up musically rather than volume-wise. Yeah, careful with that stuff. Tension and release is an effective... It's like what makes the greatest songs that you know the greatest songs. If you don't give the listener release, it kind of becomes a little exhausting to listen to after a while. Johnny's up next. Here's Johnny. We got lyrics coming in. Here we go. I feel like King and Johnny need to collaborate. That hi-hat is going into my brain. have the same feedback for this one for King though. Ba da 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 da. It's kind of like a one-note melody situation again. So bring that hi-hat down three decibels. Yeah, and that's a banger song. I don't know if this is like a current style or something. Maybe I'm just old. But I feel like the vocals, like we gotta get another section where the vocals do something different than da 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 na 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 na. You know what I mean? I'm clicking around and it's kind of the same every spot, but you know, maybe that means that if the vocals are going to be like that, maybe the instrumental can get the variation. I don't know. Just looking for a little something else, but otherwise, really great produced track, Johnny. Want to hear more from you. Thanks for submitting for the first time. There's a lot of indie songs like that. I know, but we can be better. We can push a little further, you know? Like, do you want to be like every indie song, or do you want to like push a few boundaries and be like, and people won't even realize, people be like, oh, I like Johnny's song because it's different than those other songs because it does X, Y, Z. They won't even be able to articulate it. All right, I don't have Spotify, so I don't know if I can listen to this whole thing. I don't know what this is.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that fuck to it. Sit on that thing. 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 Fuck to it. Sit on that thing.
What is happening?
Fuck to it. Sit on that thing. 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 Fuck to it. Sit on that thing.
A ridiculous thing. You're gonna owe this girl money. ET Beats, thank you for the 21 months. I think you could play with the vocals a little bit more. Like, we've heard it a bunch of times already. Let's see if it's going to happen here. But grabbing little chops of it and turning it into something more rhythmic. No, it didn't happen. I definitely don't think we can listen to it this many times in a row. I think that It's like when you tell a joke, like a lot of times, gets old, you know? This is Crash Bandicoot. There's a Crash Bandicoot reference in every single one of these track reviews, I'm telling you. Bruh, we said the same thing. We're the same. All right. Thank you. That's past our 3-minute cutoff, but creative use of a meme. Really cool mix. I would say just be careful of like overdoing it with the joke, you know? It's funny. Yuka type beat. It's funny, but you could be more creative with it too. Like you can totally transform her voice and turn it into a rhythmic thing, turn it into a granular instrument, something like that. Process it into the drop, whatever. But funny. It's first meme song of the day, so thank you for submitting that. We have 2 more tracks to listen to, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us this long. Oh, it's on YouTube too. Thank you for supplying that. Let's keep it going. Obsidian. River Walker. Versatile Hues. I'm floating.
You are, it seems, a man of many skills. A rare combination.
Interesting. It's like kind of a key change situation happening. The ARP is not in the right key. I didn't notice it before. But I guess like a different key section. I would be more careful about mixing keys in that little section. It's cool. It's a cool thing to do. Very odd. Yeah, the ARP is just in a different key, which is fine if you want to do that, but I wouldn't blend it as much as if you did. It's very floaty at the beginning. I kind of want more of that. I'm not so interested in this sort of like dark, trappy kind of thing. I think the beginning is a lot more creative, especially with the vocal samples. So be very careful with the key mixing, my friend. Thank you, River Walker. I believe that was also your... Was that your first? Maybe not. All right, interesting. Dasoma says, submitted this song 2 years ago. Very different vibes than what I make now. So I reacted to this song 2 years ago. Let's see if I can make the same face again. Am I doing it? Okay, but they make totally different music now. Oh, this is the song that I'm supposed to be listening to from the beginning. I thought this was the old song. Here we go. Thanks, River Walker. I appreciate it. It's definitely cool. Mad Zach vibes. Okay, Dasoma, great work. I can't remember what you submitted 2 years ago, obviously, but I think you've come a long way since then. A lot of people digging that in the chat as well. A little bit of wubstep. Yeah, it's nice to hear that. You don't hear that too often these days. Everybody's making lo-fi, chill stuff. I guess the harder styles. And then the harder styles, like now people are doing like garage and liquid drum and bass and stuff like that. You don't hear too much of this kind of thing these days. Whoa. Some of those elements are a little too loud, but we'll let it go. Y'all, that's it. This is a good track to go out on, but that's all our submissions for the day. Did you enjoy today's stream? I hope that you did. If you missed your submission or if you want to go back and listen from the beginning, you can definitely go ahead and do that. A lot of fun stuff is happening this week. I'm going to have some new videos out. I'm going to be live again on Thursday. We're going to do this again in a month. So if you didn't have a chance to submit today, you can submit basically in 1 month from now, so the end of July. Follow me on Threads, follow me on Instagram, leave a like on the stream on your way out. Thank you to all my channel members for supporting this channel. I hope the feedback that you heard today was helpful, even if I didn't critique your track. I hope there were some lessons to be learned across the feedback today. And shout out to all my lurking listeners who are just here to support the community, you know? Love the community vibes here. Y'all are very good at supporting each other. Very proud to be part of this community. Chat with each other on Discord. You know, if you forget who made what song, it's all there in the channel, so you can go find people and like hype them up or get some collaborations together, that sort of thing. Don't forget, we have other Discord channels for other fun things. If you play games, share what game you're playing, some screenshots. If you make any cool food, any chefs in the chat, share some cool food, cocktails. In the Foodies channel, there's an art photography channel. If you see a good deal, share it in the deal, free stuff and deals channel. All that. But y'all, we have been live for nearly 3 hours, 30 minutes. So I'm calling it a day. Got some other stuff to get done today. And thank you all so much. Great work. Shout out from the rooftops. Tell a producer you know, hey, that TAETRO community over there, a lot of good vibes. You should join. We're always looking for new members. But that's going to be it, everybody. Thank you all so much. I'll see you all soon. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.